have the pleasure to have the amazing Paula with us.
Thank you.
So, Paula, I see you as the sales magician. And I really love how important it is and how it's probably one of the scariest things for most people.
It is for a lot of people, yeah.
One of the biggest block for business owners, whether small or big or medium. This is one of the things that we hear times and times again. No, sales. What is that? Awful. So can we start by an introduction? Can you introduce yourself, please?
I can. Well, first of all, thank you, and thanks for everybody turning up to hear my incoherent thoughts about selling and sales. So I'm Paula Richardson, and I run Your Sales Code, and that is it's a business that I started a while ago, and I have changed the name recently. And really, it's my job to help people who are in business to feel more comfortable about sales and selling. And really, I suppose my clients are the people who have responsibility for sales in their own business. And I suppose your own business is your own brand. And so you need to be the one that's out there selling what you do. And invariably, people are brilliant at the business. They're brilliant. They started it because they have a passion about something. They're really good at something. But when it comes to selling, that's where they probably fall down and feel less comfortable. And that ranges from being a little bit anxious about selling, really hating the idea of it, not wanting to do it and shying away from it. And I've got a lot of experience in sales. I would like to say too much. Been around the block a few times, as you can see from my little wrinkles. And I've seen a lot of different things to do with sales. But what I would say is that my whole philosophy, if you like, is to be there to help people to sell in a way that works for them. Because we hear all sorts of scary stories, like you say, about sales. It can be sleazy and it's pushy, and nobody wants to be seen to be that kind of person. So I think they don't need to be. And I think there's just a lot of myths around it. So it's my job to move all the smoke and mirrors out the way and just talk about sales and selling, because it's a normal thing. And when you're in business, if you can't do it, then you haven't really got a business. Things will start to slip away for it to be a hobby, and nobody wants that. So I think it's all about helping people. And so many people get so wound up about the activity of selling, and there's absolutely no need for that. And it isn't a personality contest, sales. It doesn't have to be the loudest person in the room wins. It's not like that at all. And so many people say things like, oh, well, he's got the gift of the gab, or she's a born saleswoman. Nobody's a born salesperson. And everybody's trained, and that's all it boils down to, and feeling comfortable with it. But more importantly, it's unique to you. How you do it's unique to you. And my job's just to unlock that, really. Make sure that everybody feels right selling. And that's really what I do.
That's wonderful. Please feel free to jump in if you would like to ask a question in the middle of the conversation. Please be absolutely, at home with that. As you can see, Paula is very natural and makes you feel comfortable. So, Paula, why is it the elephant in the room? Why is this such a thing? While it can actually, you don't have to change your personality. If you're an introvert, that doesn't mean that you can never get good at sales. Why?
I think there's lots of reasons. And, I'm not people's therapist. I don't want to say that now, right? I'm not a therapist. But it goes way back to when you were young and how you were brought up, the people who surrounded you, the impressions that people gave you from being very young. That selling isn't a good thing. And you see it in all sorts of, weird ways, like, people like your parents or people who brought you up might have said, oh my God, I can't believe they've got another new car. Again, they've got another new car. Have you seen that? And it's just little things that drop into your mind. Oh, it's not a good thing. People buying things like that is not a good thing. Sales isn't a good thing. And then experiences of your own as you go through life, cement those things, embed them in your brain. So in your brain, you've already convinced yourself that selling is this sleazy, horrible thing. you might have gone to a car showroom with parents or with a partner, and somebody might have tried to persuade you that you needed all these gizmos on this very expensive car. And it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And then you think, yeah, it is like that selling. It's horrible. And I don't ever want to be that person.
Yeah.
And so that's how it compounds in your mind.
It does.
So you love doing your business. I've got a client from years ago who's an absolutely brilliant artist, and she loves I mean, she's prolific. I mean, masses of art. But they're selling. Oh well, no, they'll just buy it if they like it. I'm not really in business. I'm just an artist.
Oh,
you know. So there's a lot of
so much.
things wrapped up in it, really.
Yeah. Loads of beliefs, loads of fear of being the bad person.
Yeah, a lot of fear in it. Yeah,
yeah. Super interesting.
And people go into it when they're fearful or anxious. They go into it in various ways. They either don't really sell. Okay, so they go in and they have a nice chat. So you know how in networking meetings, it's a classic example. You meet somebody in chat and you say, well, let's meet for a coffee. And they meet for a coffee. And that's it. You chat about it. Oh yeah, I do this, but what about you? And we have a lovely chat and we have a nice coffee and we say we'll meet again and might see them at the next networking meeting. But we haven't progressed in any way. We haven't made any offers. We haven't found out whether that person would be able to be helped, whether we have a solution. So it kind of doesn't really get discussed. It's like the elephant in the room, like I say, it just doesn't get talked about, and then you move on. And then you think, oh, I didn't really sell anything there. So there's all of that, but there's also another approach when you're anxious, which is to get it over with quickly. Sort of blurt it all out and get it sorted and then say you're going to buy from me and that's it. No, okay, well, it doesn't matter. Or
I tried.
You get to the point where you think with your you think with your wallet, you think with your brain and your perspective, and so you've already decided they're not going to want to pay the price that you've decided is the right price for your service. So you start discounting in your mind already as you're chatting to them, and then you just start giving stuff away, and it all gets out of hand. And that's another approach, but it all stems from your own feelings about sales and selling. And there's no need for any of that. It's just a habit we fall into when we're uncomfortable.
Very cool. Very important things to recognize. So tell us a little bit more about your journey. How did you get to do what you do? Good question, eh?
Well, I've done quite a few things, I might say. Excuse me a second. So I started in the NHS, and I was a technician, and I worked with people who were hard of hearing. So people who were either born deaf or who acquired deafness. And I worked for about 10 years in the NHS. And part of my role there was to rehabilitate people with hearing aids. And I didn't realise at the time, but it was a form of selling. I was there helping them to find a hearing aid that made their life better, to work with them to find something that met their needs and helped to enhance their life. But I just did it. I was young and I just did what I was told to do and all that. And then I got greedy because in those days, people in the NHS in my role got paid very little. And a rep from a pharmaceutical company came and gave us lunch. And that was it. Why don't you become a rep for a drug company? And I was like, yeah. How much did they get paid? All right, okay then. So I did exactly that. So I was taken by the bright lights of a decent salary, and I was just starting out with a home of my own, and I thought, this is it, this is perfect. And it was a big corporate environment, pharmaceuticals, and the way that people sell in a big corporate environment is that they do as they're told, and they have a technique, and they almost follow a script, and which works. Don't get me wrong, it works in certain cases. But that made me realise that actually this is maybe not the best way to sell.
Didn't resonate with you?
Yeah, I did spend a long time. I spent a long time selling, but I also spent a long time in management positions and training positions where I was actually able to help people to do what they did better and cleverer, in that it worked better for them. But the other thing is, and it's crazy, but I thought I'd sold out. Do you know what I mean? I thought I'd right, yeah, I work for a big company now, I've got a great big salary, great big car, everything's great, it's slick, and I'm just selling and it's great and it doesn't really matter. But it did, because the things that I was selling actually made a difference. And it was only sort of as I worked in that environment that I realised that what I was doing was changing people's lives. I didn't click to that at the beginning. And there's two drugs that I sold, which is just how it was, that the company I worked for, the company I actually worked for brought the contraceptive pill to the UK for the first time in the 60s. So it was quite a groundbreaking company anyway. But two drugs that I sold at a hospital level, one saved people's sight. So it was for immunocompromised people who'd maybe had a transplant, and at that time also AIDS patients who were at risk of losing their sight without this drug.
Wow.
So yes, I had to sell it, but actually the difference I was adding to that person's quality of life.
Yeah.
And that kind of hit me then. I thought, actually, that is good. That is a good job to do. And the other drug I sold enhanced people's life, and it was a fertility drug. So there were a lot of people who needed it. And I didn't really think about it at the time, but afterwards I thought, actually, you know, by me selling that drug into that hospital, I've made a massive difference to some people's quality of life and things that they really wanted. I've really helped there. So that's kind of like, I was in that, actually, selling's good, actually, it's good.
So the selling was a means to an end.
It was
right?
a means to an end. And you know, I have this thing that you can support and help people as much as you want with the service that you've got, and you probably know that you can make a massive difference. But until you sell something, you can't help them. You've got to sell something to be able to do the next bit.
It's the distribution, isn't it? It's like, you know, there's the missing link between people that need your service, your product. It's getting that to them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So you're sitting there with all the knowledge and the know-how, and they're there with the need, but you've got to sell to them to get into their space that you can help them. So really, it's a good thing, selling. And then I had a child and decided I needed to step back. So because I was traveling all over the place. So after my son was born, I decided to work for myself. And that's how I came into doing that.
Yeah. Fascinating. And I love about the way you work and the way you your approach to it is a lot more holistic than anything I'd seen previously about sales. So I think like we just said about like the beliefs or the experience that we can have, we think techniques, we think even like potentially like manipulation or scripts to read and things like that, while what you look at is the process, isn't it? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is fair to say. And what I would say is it should never be manipulative. It should never be convoluted and complex. It should always be straightforward. It should be a normal conversation. It should never be you trying to get somebody pushed into a corner to make a decision that's not right for them. Because at the end of the day, in anything that you do selling-wise, that person that you're selling to, they're the ones that hold the decision making. They are the ones that have to decide if it's right for them. You may feel that you can make a difference. You may feel that they need what you have to offer. But at the end of the day, they have to make that decision themselves. And all you're doing is providing information that's relevant to what they need to know to make a decision. You're guiding and helping them to make a decision. But if they say no, that's it. They say no. There's no putting them up against the wall by the throat. That's not what it's about at all.
Yeah, it's almost like building that bridge, this access to go, right, I can like make you see what that would do for you. So you're creating that.
Helping them to make that decision that's right for them.
Because we can imagine, I think, when we focus only on like what we do and our service, etc., that the person is going to be able to imagine that.
Yes.
And usually they're not, right?
That's right, yeah. And I think it's just the more information that you can pass, the more you can find out about that person. It's about creating a relationship between you in that moment where that person can see the value of what you do, and you can articulate the value of what you do in a way that they can take in. And it doesn't have to be, you need to make a decision now. Sometimes they go away and they will come back to you. But you also have to guide that conversation. And that's the difference between having a chat And actually being in a selling situation, you have to guide the conversation so that you lay out some markers. So we know we're here, then we've talked about this, you've said this to me, and actually this is where my solution fits in. But now you have to go away and make that decision yourself. So the power is with the person doing the buying, not you. It's not your job to push them into something that's not right. They have to have it sorted in their head to make it right.
Somebody once said to me many years ago, and it stuck with me ever since, that selling is helping somebody to buy. So it's helping them.
Absolutely.
That word help totally resonated with me because I'm an empath and I like to help people, and that's why I'm doing the job that I do, probably the same as most people here. We're natural helpers, and we want to offer a solution. So when I sort of reframed it as I was helping them to buy, that felt
much more comfortable.
Much more comfortable.
Absolutely.
And it's a reframe that I've come on to since.
That's a good point.
It's lovely, the helping, and I would potentially like push it a teeny bit further, as in helping them to buy the solution they need, right?
Yes,
which I know it's included in what you were saying. But it's not buying for buying, it's buying for the result, for the outcome.
So it's not about clever techniques. There are techniques, but you don't want to get sucked into a technique because that gets you into that slimy bit that you don't really want to be in. It's about having, in my world, it's about having a framework when you're speaking to somebody so that you're moving the conversation in the direction it needs to go in, and you're guiding it, but you're providing them with all the options and the opportunities. Really.
With your experience of what you see in most like sort of small businesses, so I can imagine that possibly in your position, tell me if that's true, but it could possibly feel quite frustrating, like having all of your knowledge and seeing what's done out there and seeing that the room for improvement. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a cultural thing as well as all the limiting beliefs that we collectively carry, etc. I don't want to blame the individual. I think it's very important to say, but I know that you see the potential in how things could be improved. So speaking of like sort of the general things that you see and you notice, what would you say to someone who like realizes there is something that can be improved? They don't necessarily know what that is. Where do we start? What would you recommend in terms of like the starting point?
Well, for me, I would say if someone feels that they know they're doing okay, but they know they could do a lot better, they just feel they need to sharpen up on that side or feel more comfortable about sales, my route would always be chat to me. I do an hour's free talk about sales and selling, and in that time, because it's no skin off my nose really. At the end of the day, if I can talk to somebody and find out in a short space of time where their challenges are and what their issues are, what's stopping them or what's making them feel uncomfortable, I can suggest some strategies and things to try. But I can't fix something. I'll tell you now, right? Sales and selling isn't a magic bullet. It's not a pill you take and suddenly you're great. It takes time and effort and energy. And I always say, I can teach you to drive, but I can't pass the test for you and I can't drive the car for you. You have to do that. I can teach you things to pull it together, but you still have to put those things into practice. You still have to go away and examine yourself, how you feel, and try and reframe things if your mindset isn't in the right place. And what I would say about selling is nearly all of it is mindset. It's about how you approach it and how you feel. I'm sorry, it is mindset.
We love hearing that.
Yeah, it is mindset. But it is first, last, and everything, really. And so you have to feel that what you're doing when you are in a selling activity is sitting comfortably with you.
That you feel aligned. And
and there will be things that you're maybe not doing that you could do, which are what people would say is a quick win. But there aren't really any quick wins. There's a little thing you can try, or there's a thing here you can do, but you need to, it's habits and changes that take time and practice.
Consistency. So basically you can help in this conversation to give pointers and potentially talk about like what you offer and the different aspects of the way you work with people, which I think is very you are able to adapt really well to different situations and different Because it isn't a one size fits all.
It isn't, and
Never.
that's the whole thing for me is, and I've called it your sales code because that's exactly what it is. It's nobody else's, it's yours. It's the way that you approach sales. It's the way that you build relationships. It's the way that you handle questions that you get thrown at you, the tricky questions rather than objections, the tricky ones. It's how you as a person deal with it, and you know, you need the confidence to do it, but to get the confidence you need to have all the knowledge about what it is you're selling, which I'm sure you were all completely up to speed on your own offers and what you do, and you know inside what you do and how you help. But you also have to practice with some skills, which in my world, skills fall into two parts. There's hard skills and soft skills. So it's the how to do skills, the technical side of riding a bike, but there's also the soft skills, which is how you build relationships, the things that are inside you now, your empathy, the things that you've gained in experience over your lifetime so far, the things that allow you to have conversations with people and manage your emotions, and all of those things together do make a difference, and they need to be practiced. But the one thing I would say is, in any situation that you might be going into, this is my 10 penneth word.
Yeah, I like that.
Any situation that you might be going into, which is potentially a sales situation where you would love someone to buy from you, is to take the expectation right out of the mix. Take out the expectation that they will say yes, straight out of it. Because going into it thinking, I need them to say yes, they've got to say yes, it just puts pressure. It's like a pressure cooker situation. It's just going to put you under so much pressure that you won't be able to calmly have an ordinary conversation. Because straight away it's like,
because there's that performance pressure, right? Like, oh, this is on me whether I get a yes or a no, which is not what you're saying. It's like it's going to be a yes for the right person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or potentially for someone a no, or blah de blah de blah. But that it does not change. It does not evaluate the value of you, the value of your offer.
It doesn't change you and what you do process. And how well. Absolutely. Yes. And I think that's something that people find hard, because when you've got a small business, when it's maybe just you or a couple of people,
you are the business.
Every sale's important. You know, every bit of revenue is important. So we're already under pressure to make a sale, but actually you have to let that go. So somewhere along the line, you have to practice letting that go, because in a big corporate environment where the salespeople are professional salespeople, they get paid to sell. That's all they do. They're going to see no's all the time. No's happen all the time, and it's water off a duck's back, because they know that, okay, not that one. Yeah, not that one. There's a yes.
Yeah.
So they build up the resilience, and they don't take no personally. It's not a slight on you, the person. You've done something drastically wrong.
Exactly.
Yes, you need to look at what you've said and done in order to improve. But for goodness sake, you've got to let it go, because if you're married to the decision, then you're going to be upset all the time.
Yes.
So it's just like that thing, if you come across being desperate, like no one wants to go on a date.
Absolutely. I was going to say it's like a date, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely it. Yeah. You don't, you know.
Yeah. And every no gets you closer to a yes.
Absolutely it does, yeah.
The statistics, I think, in sale, tell me if that's right. I've heard that
right.
a long time ago, but you need, in some cases, and I think for most of our businesses out there, it's probably be a lot better than that. 9 no's to get to 1 yes. So we can actually celebrate, another no, getting 1 step closer and 1 step closer. And I think for most of us, it's less than the 9 yeses, right?
I'm sure
9
it is.
No's.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, you know, some of the things that I do with my clients is that we look at the no's and we have a database of no's, because that helps you to tweak what you do.
Yeah.
So that you learn from the no. The no is powerful, because you can go through and find out, what did I do there? And I should have said that. I didn't give them enough information about this, or I didn't handle that very well. And all of that is information, data that you can use to tweak what you do to get better at what you do. So no's are quite an important thing. Really.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes. Just allowing some space if any question arises. There's always more I can say, as you know. And I love what you said about, mindset being underlining.
Of course you do.
Yes, of course I do. Unsurprisingly. For you, how did you see that, build up for you? What was your journey with that? Did you have like big moments, big breakthroughs? You mentioned obviously through your experience, realizing that the manipulation aspect or the framework, it wasn't about that. There was a lot more to it. And it's empowering, isn't it? To be able to guide also, the people to the right solutions for them. I think it's very empowering.
Yeah, it
You're
is.
talking about the power. It's not me power over you. It's really that I'm giving you power as much as I can for you to see that bridge. So reflecting on your journey, how did that mindset build for you? And was there like some big moments?
Yeah, I've had some very big moments. Not necessarily in sales, well, sort of in sales. So when my son was born, I'll just give you a bit of this is a like sidebar story for your interest. So when my son was born, so two things. When I got pregnant, I thought, oh yeah, right, I wanted to be pregnant. We wanted a children. And so it was good. And I was a little bit older. So I was 37 when my son was born. So I was like an old mother.
Like me.
They write it down, don't be old. Anyway. So that was the case.
What an awful word.
It's awful, yeah. So, and that was fine. And I worked for a big company. And so I took maternity leave. And I worked quite late till he was born. I worked up till like the middle of November and he was born in December, something silly. But that was because I was in that mindset of I'm in this corporate environment and I'm ambitious and I've worked my way up and I've got a good salary and I'm at a good level. And oh God, now I've got a baby and, Anyway, so I went off, did maternity leave. And while I was away, people were saying, oh, you're a bit anxious about having a baby and all this. And I'm like, well, it's got to come out somewhere, hasn't it? So I'm just going to have to live with that. And I wasn't worried about being a mother, even older. And I wasn't worried about, how will I manage a baby? How will I, have I got the skills?
Yeah.
None of that worried me. The overriding thing that I kept thinking about all the time was, what if when I have this baby, I want to stay at home with it. I don't want to go back to work. But what if I don't want to do what I've loved doing all this time? What if that happens? I was like, oh God. And that was like a recurring theme. So when he was born, I was like, thank God for that. Yeah, can't wait to get back to work. That'll be great. And then I went back to work. Yeah. And I did the thing that I know a lot of women do, right? Excusing the man in the room. But a lot of women who have had children do this. They think they need to prove that they are just as capable now that they're a new mother, that they can do it than they did before. So I had quite a good level of job. And when I went back after maternity leave, I went straight into a team build of 60 brand new reps who'd never sold a thing in their life. And we were locked away in a hotel for 6 weeks.
So you were training them?
So I was training them, then coming home, then training them, then coming home at the weekend. And when I look back now, I think, what the hell was I on that? Hormones must have been mad because it was a stupid thing to do. And so we did it and we built the team and everything was great. And I did it for about a year and a half. And then I thought, every time I go down, because it was south of Maidenhead down there, every time I go down there to spend 2 days in the office, that's like 3 nights my baby hasn't seen me.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Because of the time. and then I was thinking, God, and I'm on the road for hours at a time. So my probability of having you think all these weird things, it's going right up. What am I doing? And actually, I don't need to prove myself. I was doing a perfectly good job before. I'm doing a perfectly good job now. What was I thinking? So I reached a point where I thought, no, I'm going to work for myself. Because obviously, I had a mortgage, husband who was like, how much money are you bringing in? No, you're going to what? Leave work? So we went through all this grief. Anyway, I left. But before I left, I thought, oh God. And I had a last minute, 11th hour major panic. I can't just walk away from this. The company car, the big salary, I can't just do it. So I took a job, which I thought was going to be a doddle because it was in Newcastle. Oh, it's only in Newcastle. I can pop up the road and back again. It'd be fantastic. See how it goes. Honest to God, the worst 18 months of my life at that time.
Oh,
awful job. Awful.
Sorry to hear that. But
yeah. I could do it and I was capable, but when I got into the job, the culture, the way that they were, I was like, what have I done? This is horrible. And I should have followed my gut instinct, which was leave work and start working with your, And I didn't. I did that panic and I didn't believe in myself. And that was the biggest mistake. So eventually I left and I started a business, and it wasn't in sales because I wanted to do something different.
Was it
I wanted to do something.
I didn't know that.
No. So I wanted to do something that was local, that wasn't in sales. It kind of loosely was, but it was basically home renovations, house renovations. You know, I don't know if you saw back in the day, you know, all these programs. Oh, I can do that. So I did it. Yeah. I did it great. Yeah. And then again, I got a bit greedy, and I thought, I need to get from this level to this level, but I can't do it on my own. I need someone to help me. And I took on a partner. That was also a very big mistake, which I'm quite happy to say. And I'm really sorry, right? I'm going to do a sweeping general statement. It's a man thing. His ego was ridiculous. So he wanted me to run the project, which was a big project, and he didn't really want anything to do with it. But he wanted his workmen to come and me to use his people. But when things went wrong, he didn't want anything to do with it. And it all got a bit not very nice. And in the end, I had to pay him off to get rid of him. And I ended up giving him £95,000. That, can I point out, I didn't actually have. So I was really, really stymied by it, and it knocked me way back. And all along, when the first signs came, I ignored them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And this is back to that same thing, that I didn't trust myself. I thought, oh no, it's okay, it'll be okay. I should have just listened to my gut. Push through. It wasn't okay. Push through. Yeah. And so I didn't listen to me. And I also thought, oh, that's great. I've got somebody who I can bounce ideas off, somebody who'll understand, somebody who's in the project with me. And that wasn't the case either. No. I should have got networking at that point and not taken on a partner, looking back. So I would change that, definitely. And at the end, the project that we did, I did the last part of it on my own. And it was a brilliant project. And it was a house which was converted into 5 luxury apartments. It was a nightmare project. Once it was done, every single person who came to see one bought one. And some of them are still in there now, in that building. And it was a total success. Yeah. I was a wreck, obviously, and we had no money. So at that point, I thought, do you know what you do is sales, just pick yourself up from the bottom and start again doing what you know you do really well. I mean, I had to do some sales with it, and that's how I managed to sell them all.
Of course, but it's part of it.
Yeah. And so that was a big point. And that point, I was like, I am never, ever going to work in a partnership with anyone again, because any mistakes I make are mine. I know they are, and I'm happy to deal with them. But I'm not having somebody else blame me. But any triumphs I have are mine as well. And actually, I know my own gut feeling. So if I come across something that feels not right, I don't do it anymore. I think part of that is age as well, but age and experience. But that for me was to trust me, to trust that I could do it. Yeah. And I'd managed all up to the point where I took this guy on as a partner. And that was just that, oh, look, if we could get to that level if we did it together. Yeah. Should have just what I was doing. Yeah. So that's a cautionary tale, ladies and gentlemen. Just be very sure if you do go into any sort of partnership, it's a bit of unfettered advice, make sure you know them really well. I thought I knew this guy because he had worked with me in some of my previous projects as a contractor. And there's no better recommendation than having used them yourself, and they'd be great. And he was absolutely fabulous until he became a partner. And then he wasn't fabulous at all in any way. So
it sounds like the commitment that you made also was like no compromising anymore.
Absolutely. I know. That is the biggest breakthrough I've got, is that you know yourself inside, and you've got to put your own trust in yourself that you can do it. And yes, if you want help and support, and we all need some sort of help and support, that's what business colleagues and networking colleagues are about.
Collaborations.
You do not have to get into bed with somebody that closely with your finances to have that support.
You can stay in charge, right? Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. That's just a small sidebar theory.
But it's so important, isn't it, with the confidence, right? Like if I can trust myself, if I can find the ways that I can, build that trust with myself, therefore, I'm going to be more confident.
Yeah, you absolutely are. But you know yourself. You'll all know your intuition. You'll all know your gut feeling. You should act on your gut feeling, I'm telling you now. Yeah, look at it all, but don't ignore it, whatever you do.
Yeah. Believe in yourself. I like the image of green light, orange light, red light. So like the tuning in and go, do I get a red light? And sometimes we don't know why. That's fine. You don't need to know why. No, maybe.
Sometimes we don't want to know why.
Sometimes we don't want to know why.
It's
Yes.
if like the truth becomes known, then that could be worse than just everything's okay.
Yeah. Skirt over it and keep going. Yeah.
And just hope for the best, and like you said, just push through, soldier on. It's that same attitude of I'm gonna go back to work and I'm gonna prove everybody wrong that I can do it.
Absolutely, it is.
You want to make it work, even though you know it's not right, even though deep down it's turmoil.
You know.
Keep going because you want everybody to see
you do.
right?
And I think when you've invested so much to that point, and that's part of being in business, and you put everything into it and you invest so much, it's very hard to call a line on things and say, no, this is wrong.
Or that fear of just saying it's not working.
It's not working.
Fear of failing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think it's a great way to end. So